Ryan, will you be the one to sell my London, Ontario home, or is somebody else going to show up at my door? Hey, it's Ryan Hodge, broker owner here at the Realty firm in London, Ontario. Sandra and I have been selling real estate here for nearly 20 years. And I often get the question, based on our marketing, based on the way that we put ourselves out there, some of the things that you may see online, are you going to be the one to sell my London, Ontario home? Or are you going to send somebody else to the house? So I want to clarify that for a second, because I think it's important to talk a little bit today about how things operate inside of our organization. So again, if you've been following along here for a little bit of time with myself, what you'll probably understand is that I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. And I do a number of things as a real estate entrepreneur, actually. And so when I first got started in the business, I started with the wonderful world of REMAX, and I had a really, really quick start in the business. I was involved in nearly 200 sales in my first 2.5 years, which was really, really rare across the entire real estate industry, North America, Europe, worldwide. And REMAX promoted me very heavily through their network in terms of my quick rise to success, which led into building my own real estate team. And over the course of a number of years, I was able to develop a real estate team, which at the start was the Ryan Hodge team. And then it morphed into what was called the Hodge Group. And at one point, I had a team that was the #1 team at my previous brokerage for the entire brokerage. And we were selling as many units as just about anyone in our entire marketplace. So had a really good trajectory. And through that period, I was also being promoted by REMAX. I was going out and I was speaking and I was training and I was coaching all across the industry. I actually started a coaching company because agents kept coming to me and saying, I want to learn how you're doing this. And I believe in contribution, but based on our sales volume, I also had to gate that from a time perspective a little bit. Inside of my team, I've had many different models, and being fortunate to have not only taught individual agents, but actually coached and trained team leaders and broker owners across Canada, the US, even into Europe, what I can share is that most teams fail. And you as the consumer or a potential client have probably come to understand this. If you watch the real estate landscape a little bit, you'll see that teams really often change a lot. You know, the faces inside of these big sales teams and, you know, who's doing what and what the names are. And I experienced that as well. I experienced so much failure inside of the team model when I first started that over time, I really looked to move away from that. And so a number of years ago, long after the Realty firm, which is the brokerage that Sandra and I own, we are a 100+ agent organization servicing the London and St. Thomas Association of Realtors, Woodstock Ingersoll Tilsonburg Association of Realtors, the Kitchener-Waterloo Association of Realtors, Huron-Perth Association of Realtors, and the Sarnia-Lambton Board. And we have agents all over, but our main focus has always been to serve and support London homeowners in the acquisition and disposal of real estate. And so because of the things that I do, and some of you know that I own a software company as well, which is really beneficial to our clients because we have Meta experts and Google experts and people like that we employ through the software company that can really target market your home. That's another video. But through all the things that I've done, I often get asked, you know, Ryan, I see you're out there, but I also see you're really busy doing other things. What I share with you is that if you are calling to have somebody come and list your house and you're calling me directly, you are going to get me. I think that that is of super high importance. Sandra and I pride ourselves in still continuing to do this thing we call real estate at the high level that we do. And it is important for us to stay committed to Londoners and those people that we get to serve, because ultimately, if we can't do this at a really high level and continue to work on refining our systems, improving our marketing, ensuring that our strategies are really dialed in for homeowners, whether you're buying, selling, investing, or building, you know, if we can't do this at a high level, how could we possibly ever expect to teach others inside of our company, or, inside of the coaching and training that I do in the industry as well. And I believe that being an operator that is in the trenches of London, Ontario real estate, going through the different shifts in markets is as equally as important as the next marketing strategy. And so rest assured that if you call Sandra or myself to come and talk about your property or to talk about buying real estate in London, you are going to get us. We are not going to pawn you off to somebody else. And that's really why we moved away from the big team model many years ago. We have this brokerage, which is a completely different operation. And we have our sales, which is Sandra and myself, along with one other committed professional that is there for us if, for example, we are away on a holiday, or if we are in an offer situation, but your home needs to be shown. And so we don't bring in a whole bunch of other agents to support in that. We have a very refined process that we believe is the most beneficial to our clients. And having that one extra person is really what we found all that we need. Now, because of the marketing that we do, we have a number of people that will work inside of some of our systems if, people register their information on our websites as far as follow-up. The number one thing that we've always wanted to make sure of is that if somebody has a real estate question, they're going to get it answered by a qualified, active, and experienced professional. And so whether somebody is on the initial phone call for us, or whether it is, one of our partners, Jeff Guerra, who does some of the things that we just can't get to, it's going to be somebody that is very, very trusted, very experienced. But if it is, the fact that you need somebody to come over and evaluate your property, or you are going into a situation where we've listed your property and it is offer time, you are going to get us. And I think that as much as you probably watch me speak about marketing and the strategies that we apply to really have this tremendous success inside of the London and St. Thomas market, the number one thing that we can provide to our clients is service. And that service has a lot to do with communication, and it's the communication that you will receive from Sandra and myself. Too many agents now are using technology, their devices, and I believe there's a great, great lost art of communication inside of the real estate industry. I think that agents are not picking up the phone enough, not only for their clients, but agent to agent communication as well, where, this used to be a lot more about agent to agent relationships in terms of that negotiation. And I've always said that it's not a buyer or a seller that kills a real estate deal, it's the agents. And it's usually because they're just not communicating. So communication is key. I'm a little bit old school where if we are going over, a listing, or we are going into an offer situation, I'm more than likely going to be at your dining room table or your kitchen table, in person going over these things. Now, there are times where, you might be away, or if I were away, or we have an out of town client that we can communicate, but I will still try and use, technology like Zoom or Google Meets or platforms where we can get at least face to face to have these really, really important discussions. And I think that agents overall have really, really lost that. They're not picking up the phones. They're not discussing, the details of an offer, the why behind, why they've put things into an agreement. And I think it's a great, great disservice to clients that have people under contract doing what they're supposed to be doing in terms of generating a really, really great deal, or a great negotiation, or a great result in terms of getting your home sold. And my purpose, as always, is to serve and support London homeowners. And that bit about communication, I think, is something that you can take, whether you're working with Sandra or myself, somebody at the Realty firm or not. But you can take this information and you can ask, am I getting proper communication and proper service beyond just the marketing strategies and things like that, which are incredibly important. But communication to me is by far the most important thing. And we communicate every step of the way when it comes to selling your house. We follow up with agents for feedback at least 3 times to see, what did that agent or what did that buyer think about the property? Do they like it? Don't they? What did they think about the price? Did they buy something different? We can't possibly provide enough information to warrant a seller or client of ours to potentially reducing the price of their home, which in this market is a substantial amount of money, if we don't have enough data and feedback for our clients to actually make these informed decisions. And so these are some of the things that I think you'll find very, very different and unique with Sandra and myself and how we sell properties in London, Ontario. And so if you have any questions about the real estate market, whether it's buying, whether it's selling, whether it's just getting a free market evaluation or talking about your plans for the future, I would love to have some healthy communication with you face to face and talk about what your wants and needs are. Be sure to like and comment on this channel, subscribe to it if you enjoy this content. Sandra and I are always looking to serve and support Londoners, and we are with you every step of the way before, during, and after the real estate sale.